The background information on this dog, well, we're going to call him Dozer, but that's an alias. He's a Presa Canario, a male. He's about 18 months of age, and the age he was when purchased, we don't know. Dear John, I currently have a 1.5-year-old male Presa and 2 pits, male, 8 years old, and female, 2 years old. As of the past week, my male Presa has gone at both of my other dogs when there is food within close proximity, or when we're in the family room and the 2 dogs get too close to me. Before these recent events, this sort of behavior has never been an issue. He went through extensive training as a puppy. In addition to you, I am contacting another trainer to go in for a 4th round, but I was hoping maybe you had a solution to this. I have resorted to socialization times as well. But when there's no food around and they aren't in the family room, the 3 play around like they're the best of friends. I'm really confused. Heather in the USA. This isn't as uncommon as you might think. I do get an awful lot of, a disproportionate amount of male inquiries about the Molosser breeds. They're becoming more and more popular. They have over the last 5 to 10 years. Breeds like this, the Presa Canario, the Cane Corso, that kind of dog. Because these dogs, I mean, they're guard dogs, and their hardwiring has been selectively, they've been selectively bred for certain characteristics. And so if you looked at dogs and you said, okay, if dogs were cars, like a golden retriever is like a minivan, well, these dogs are a little bit more like a Ferrari crossed with a dump truck. They're pretty intense dogs. In my opinion, they're not pets. They should never be treated as a pet. Doesn't mean you can't have it as a pet, but your mindset has to be, this is my now hobby, and this is my hobby for the life of this dog. So we're going to kind of circle back to that here in a bit as we go along, as I kind of cover some of the points I've made here in my notes. So I've wrote a few books about different breeds of dogs, and there's one in particular that is for like Presa Canario, or another one for the Cane Corso. And basically, it's the 5 most common mistakes you could possibly make, and how to avoid them, and end up with a dream dog. But you really can't go the route that people typically think qualifies as dog training. And there is no, like in companion dog training, they take us to these silly classes and we do geometric patterns around pylons, and you do a level and you do level. In this case, I think Heather said she's, where's my notes here? I think, going for a 4th round of training, and now so that's not the way training works. That's the way amateur dog trainers do it, but you'll definitely start to see problems in behavior if you take that route for these breeds. With other breeds, like the minivan breeds, you're still going to have problems with behavior. It's just that they're goofy. These guys can get dangerous. So what we're going to look at here is a few things that I noted. One's the dog's age. This is almost always the age that I'll get a phone call or an email or an inquiry for an appointment. Somewhere between 18 months and 3 years of age is when people start to pay the piper, where they find out, oh my gosh, I haven't been really exposed to real dog training. I've done my best, but why am I having these problems? Like, again, with the golden retriever, there people go, well, I come home from a walk and one of my arms is longer than the other still, and when I say come, the dog thinks come means if you got a minute, check your day timer, and he won't stay still at the door, and I got to open the door like I'm naked because he'll run out if I don't. All of those things are where the dogs move now into adulthood. So most dogs, and I would suspect this dog, are raised by their hormones and their genetic programs, and not an actual loving authority figure using a template that nature has put into place for higher order social species for millennia. So the resource guarding is sort of a manifestation of here's what happens when we don't do what we're supposed to do. My dad used to periodically get ahead of resource guarding. I had 3 siblings. He'd say, look around the house. Everything you see here's mine. You just get to use it. Where you go. That's It's an ongoing, like when we see that there's a fight over something, well, how the heck did they get the idea that that was their food to protect or you to protect? It's the way you live with the dog. So that's a big thing that's missing in companion dog training in general. And boy, you certainly see it in the with these breeds, particularly the males. I'm going to send I'm going to link to an article I wrote about resource guarding. I think it's resource guarding in a nutshell. And it'll kind of explain all the reasons this could possibly happen. But in this case, part of it's hardwiring, but a big part of it's relationship. It's not him understanding this is my house, you just live here. And it is far more complex when you've got more than one dog. Because when you live with one dog, you often will not see these levels of problems, these sorts of problems. But living with one dog, if there's no competition from the fight with stuff over. It's just you and them. And so they may resource guard towards you, but it just seems to be far more likely when you add a couple other dogs in the mix and you live with them in a way that you love them to death. And I will bet Heather loves these dogs to death, but I will bet dollars to donuts if I said to this dog and the other two dogs, what do you think of Heather? The dogs would go, oh my God, we won the lottery for dogs. It's unbelievable. She's a great roommate. I don't think that these if she's pursued what is called training, it's not her fault. I think it's the way that we embrace dog training in North America. So anyway, she says he went through extensive training as a puppy, and I'm saying I'll bet he didn't. And puppy's not right. We don't just get supervision and diligent guidance when we're puppies. When we're little kids, the first 1/3 of our lives, high involvement. We're keeping kids safe and fed and clean, and we're teaching them little things all the time. And there's all sorts of wonderful things that go on as far as relationship building at that point. Kids gets older. Where are you going? When are you coming home? Who are you going to be with? What's the phone you're going to be at? Mom, I'm 14. Don't you trust me? Well, we could talk about that afterwards. But answer my question before you leave. There is ongoing, hands-on, constant reminders from birth to young adulthood in every species. In dog training, they don't embrace this. And so we end up with delinquency, juvenile delinquency in this case. So I suspect that there really hasn't been what I would call training. And I know I'm the minority there, but I've done this for 30 years full time, and I'll also link to an article on dog trainers. A lot of dog trainers they give themselves little special titles and stuff, and this is kind of like how to look at a dog trainer and find out whether they're marketing. How do they say it? Whether they're talking the talk or they actually can walk the walk. And trust me, it's hard to find a legitimate dog trainer. The methods that they use are either this all positive all the time, ignore bad behavior, reward good behavior, and give the dog a treat and all that kind of stuff. No species on the planet does that for anything in humans and dogs or humans and other animals for teaching tricks. That's what that was intended for. Skinner's works kind of got the ball moving there, but it just, dog trainers took it and thought that's dog training, but it really doesn't pan out in teaching a dog to actually exercise their suck it up muscle. Like a treat for me would be $50 bills. So any of you watching this video, if you're ever interested, $50 bills would be a good treat for me. And you'd be amazed at what you get me to say and do. But somebody's going to show up with a $100 bill. And a Presa Canario, that can be another dog or another resource. And that cannot be the leverage you have for influencing behavior, I think, for any dog, but certainly for not this caliber of dog. I'm going to link to a booklet on training methods. So for Heather or anybody else, if you don't know, if you want to learn a little bit about a lot of the mythology that we're sold about dog training and what your options are out there, it's a little booklet. I think, I can't even remember the name of the title, but I'll put in the link. If you're looking for specific direction on how to deal with this dog, I have another little booklet that's called The Beautiful Balance, Dog Training with Nature's Template. I think it's right now $5. I'm more interested in people undoing the mythology and learning a little bit more on what they're supposed to do. Ideally, if you could find a good trainer, somebody who's experienced and knowledgeable, I just think you're going to probably, if you read, that trainer article, that's free, or the little booklet, you're going to have a way to kind of separate the wheat from the chaff. And that might help you not fall into the trap. But the other type of dog training I didn't mention particularly gets attracted to these dogs particularly when they start behaving this way, is more of a might is right approach. You got to be alpha, Heather. You got to be dominant, be pack leader, make them submit. That's nonsense too. That's the way a bouncer behaves to change your behavior. But we're looking for something that's going to we need it to be a relationship where the dog wants to do it, doesn't fear not doing it. And it doesn't mean that there's not times when, a parent says, look, I wasn't asking you, I was telling you. We've had this conversation 3 times. You're old enough to know better. Unplug your Xbox. There are those moments in dog training as well, but you have to do things in the right order. And I think you've got a lot of colors missing in the palette, and that's why the picture's not clear to this dog. So you've got that problem, and you've got the complexity of having more than one dog. And so they just got more to fight over. You'll see these sorts of things, resource triggering, could be food, could be treats, could be a toy. It could be who gets pet first, who goes up the stairs first, who goes through the door first. It's not across the board. It's whatever the dog whose nose is going to get out of joint thinks is important. So this can be dealt with, but you're going to have to take owning these kinds of dogs a lot more seriously than we're led to believe we have to do. Not pets, they're hobbies. And the concept of training any dog, in my view, but these dogs, remember I said we influence the behavior of our youngsters, dogs, wolves, apes, human beings, from birth to young adulthood. In the case of the average dog, it'd be 18 months to 3 years of age, and I would put some of these big Molosser breeds a little closer to the 3 years of age, depending on who the handler is. Highly experienced handler. So I'm like myself, you know what, I might go, all right, I got a pretty good idea what's going on, but I'd say 2 years. If you're kind of learning, draw the line at 3, and so then that's sort of highly structured, highly supervised. But these dogs, it doesn't stop there. You have to constantly maintain their relationship and their training and test it for their entire lives. These are wonderful dogs in the right hands. They're guns with brains in the wrong hands, and you'll find the average one that ends up in the wrong hands, particularly the males, they're not around at 3 years of age. They end up getting put down. People can't find the resources to get them fixed. The dog's too big and the love. So we don't want to get there. I think you got your hands full if you just had him. But with all 3, you really got a challenge ahead of you. So you've got the option, like learn a little bit about training, and then you can be a little bit more careful in selecting. You also have that option of booking virtual sessions with me where basically we're going to get a history on the dog, and we're going to kind of find out what's actually been going on, because I'm taking a stab at it here, so you have to take this with a grain of salt. A lot of assumptions. But we kind of put the dog on a specific program that's tailored for what's going on, where your handling's at, and then we just keep doing follow. You take a video of you doing one of the exercises that I ask you to do. And this is what I think that dog training should be. I don't believe in this geometric pattern around pylons. I think what we should be doing with him is teaching him how to live inside a house. I'm not worried about outside of the house just yet. But what I want him to do when we hit the stairs, when we're at a door, when we're in a kitchen. Those are things that will trigger a little more frequently, and we can start small and build on them. And they're practical exercises. They have benefit, whereas it's kind of hard to motivate yourself to set up some pylons and go in circles in your yard. So I don't know. I think that this is probably going to be a video that's going to resonate with a lot of people with these kinds of dogs. But hopefully you find that of some use. And if anybody's got any questions or comments, don't hesitate to forward them. I don't know who doesn't know how to do this, but everybody mentions it. So don't forget to subscribe and click the little bell if you want to be notified every time there's a new video. I try and put about one a week up. But if you really want to show your support for common sense and science in companion dog training and keep these videos coming, look for the Buy Me a Coffee link in the notes. I can't tell you how good it makes me feel when I get notified that someone bought me the equivalent of a cup of coffee because they found the free content I provide helpful. Alternatively, don't forget to check out the ebooks that I've written. Again, there'll be a link in the notes. And if you have a dog that's turned one of your arms longer than the other, check out the dog training collar I designed. It's not a cure-all, but it will help.